Have you ever watched a scene so badass that it makes you feel like it deserves its own cult? Well, there are plenty of them available, especially in the world of streaming. On that note, here are the top 30 God mode moments in TV shows. We're kicking things off with a strong W for Joel, because, let's face it, after the events of Season 2's treatment of his character, there's no redemption for the show. Yeah, I know how badly the showrunners have messed up such a promising show, but I'd rather just focus on the positives, such as this crazy hospital scene where Joel finally gets to show us exactly how deadly and skilled he can be when he's not arguing with a pompous little brat. Bro spares no one in his massacre, and he does all of it to save Ellie, who, well, let's face it, isn't exactly a fan favorite, is she?
Unhook her.
How did you get in here?
I said unhook her.
I won't let you take her.
Unhook her. Move!
Anyway, the precision with which he accomplishes the rescue mission was impressive, and it was about time he got to be tough, because Pedro Pascal is made to play a much more vulnerable version of the character as compared to how he is in the game. I'd also like to believe that this was some kind of revenge for Sarah as well. It was a bunch of soldiers with rifles who took his first daughter, so there sure as heck won't be taking his second.
Please. You. Call security!
In this entry, it may be all about family, but not Vin Diesel, as number 5 shows off his supreme skills against the Commission Board. I don't think I've covered scenes from the Umbrella Academy in my previous videos, but this one does deserve a shout out, as number 5 travels back in time to Wisconsin in 1982 for only one purpose: to assassinate the Commission's executive board and bring his family back.
Here's your quid. Here's your pro. Here's your quo.
The brutality of the assassination is worthy of God-level praise, and I could go into further detail as to how smooth number 5's attacks were, but a lot of credit should also go to his actor, Aidan Gallagher. His performance is so top tier to the point that I'm actually convinced he's a 58-year-old man trapped in a teen's body. His attention to the little details such as micro-expressions is what makes him such a special character. Shout out to that lady too, you know, who thought that a vending machine was much more important than an entire committee.
She sent you, didn't she?
Does it really matter now?
Whatever she offered you, I will double it, triple it.
I'm not doing this for money.
Míreme.
You can be as big as anyone in this world, but you still can't mess with the god of crime, aka Pablo freaking Escobar. This man was so popular that even before the days of Narcos, they had a whole arc in Entourage where Vincent Chase did everything he could to play the character in Medellin. That may not have worked out for him in the show, but in Narcos, Pablo is brutal, calculated, and highly vengeful.
Usted le pidió a un niño que me entregara esto. Se lo devuelvo.
Colonel Carrillo and his team really stood no chance against him, especially now that he was out on a mission of vengeance for what had happened to his cousin. The way he walks with those flames in the background does give him a surreal aura, almost as if he's the king of hell, and when he confronts Carrillo after the damage is done, he does seem as if he's a god who's just going to teach a lesson to a non-believer. Those final few shots didn't just mark Pablo completing his task, they also told us that he's not one to be messed around with.
Por mi primo, Gustavo. Cobarde. Hijo de puta.
Yes, the time when Wanda Maximoff officially turns into the Scarlet Witch is easily the most god entry you can get from her, because this is what triggered the creation of Doctor Strange's latest villain. The final battle against Agatha did have Wanda struggling for the most part, but then she decided to use her big brain energy and got the advantage via trickery. The use of purple visuals against red was a pretty cool design choice, as it made the battle so colourful despite its dark tone.
Release your burden! There's more. I want it all!
I'd also give credit to Agatha for pushing Wanda to such limits too, because normally she would have just relied on her powers to force her way through. None of that happened here though, did it? Although I do feel that Wanda not dropping a house on Agatha was a missed opportunity. Not that I'm complaining though, it was a really solid effort from both sides, and Agatha was never ever going to win this fight, because only Thanos has the privilege of ending a movie or a TV show as the winner.
Oh God. You don't know what you've done.
In at number 26, we have an instance where the bullied becomes the bully. Hawk was first just known as the nerd Eli, but after taking up Cobra Kai, he totally transformed into a completely different person. His fighting skills were the most notable improvements, and here he gets to test them out on his former bullies.
Holy shit. You know, I realized it's the kid with the lip. I thought it moved.
Oh, shit, you're right. Oh, the hair kind of distracts you from it, though.
Technically, it should have been Kyler getting the whooping, but I guess seeing Brux terminated with such brutality would have also traumatized him to some extent. Hawk didn't spare anything at all, and you can see how dangerous it is to bully someone, because they keep all of that negative energy inside them until it explodes into a scene that almost led to murder. It's scary, but also a supreme display of ability from a kid who was a nobody not too long ago. And look, I don't want to justify violence, but anyone who's been in Eli's shoes would have been able to relate to his actions here.
Please, stop. Finish it.
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
Come on. You're dead.
It's always great to see the Punisher doing some punishing, but that too in a place like prison. Frank Castle managed to give us the most intense fight scene from a show which was named after a completely different character. That in itself is a flex, but the violence he gave to the director here was truly magnificent, although I would never recommend turning into a murderous assassin with a temper. I've spoken about this scene plenty of times before, and no matter how many times I come back to it, I still feel so drawn towards it. There's the obvious fighting that's the main sell, but the subtle Punisher logo in blood definitely elevates the moment to the next level. What's even more unbelievable is that even after having tired himself out with his fight, Frank was still ready to have a go at freaking Kingpin, which to most would be a death wish. Yeah, I'd have placed this higher, but Frank's a human, so I do need to keep certain restrictions for God mode entries.
I've been waiting.
Hope you don't expect me to comment on that, so you can record it on your hidden tape recorder. I wasn't born yesterday.
Dexter is always toying with Dokes, and over here he's shown exerting physical as well as mental dominance. After an earlier sabotage, Dokes confronts Dexter about his intentions, but our boy isn't one to give a straight answer, so he mocks Dokes by saying he'll always remain one step ahead of him. What follows is a pretty strong headbutt that does some damage to Dokes, but leaves Dexter completely unhurt.
I'll always be a step ahead of you for one simple reason.
And what's that?
I own you.
I mean, the guy's got to be pretty tough to not have an injury after such a strike. Anyway, the real gem is that Dexter knew that this would provoke Dokes to the point where he'd attack him in front of the other officers. It's a genius move that causes his one major obstacle to get suspended, and it goes on to show the level at which the main character is operating. I mean, it's done very smoothly, and even though it's not the ideal way to go about your life, Dexter still earns the viewer's appreciation for his methods and tactics.
I want your gun. your badge and your police ID. I want your access card too. Now!
At number 23, we have the Master Chief from Halo giving us a masterclass on how to activate God mode in the middle of an intense battle. In the fight against the Jackals, he manages to put on a display that would leave everyone's jaws on the kitchen table. The carnage he unleashes all by himself is absolutely next level, and it's so intense that you almost start to pity the poor enemies he's demolishing. The finishing move is so vicious that it wouldn't feel out of place even in a proper horror flick. Like, for the love of God, my man, why can't you just be a chill guy? We get that you're angry, but this is just merciless stuff and mostly untapped rage too. Props to the creators for not leaving any stone unturned on the brutality, but I do feel like it could have been better without the screaming. Bro's not known for that in the game, so to see it on screen was a bit out of pocket if I'm being honest with you. Now, we've got Mando and Grogu joining forces for an epic display against the Praetorian Guards. It's actually a scene that's filled with starts and stops, because Mando struggles at first, then Grogu distracts the guards, causing him to get into trouble, and then Mando activates God mode to save Grogu, but also relies on his Force powers to defeat everyone. I don't know if Mando would have won the fight without the assist, so you could say it's a proper team effort, and it was so adorable to see Grogu fight for his father figure. I still prefer calling him Baby Yoda, but you gotta play by the rules, right? And it's not even accurate to consider him Yoda due to the timelines. I will say that it was super emotional to see Mando in pain when the guards went for Grogu, and I swear to God, if they actually injured the little kid, then I would have personally gone to Disney's Star Wars office and thrown hands.
You did good, kid.
It may be a God mode video, but that doesn't mean I can't have the devil showing his true form. After all, he was once an angel too, wasn't he? In the season 4 finale of Lucifer, we get to see the dashing devil become not so dashing as he assumes his demonic form to command all the demons outnumbering him and his crew to return to hell. It's a short sequence that doesn't show anything fancy, but it does highlight how terrifying the king of hell can really be.
Now bow down to your king.
The previous entry with Penguin kind of complements this entry, but don't worry, it's not going to be only evil stuff from this point forward. I mean, even here, there's an emotional bit with Chloe, who turns out to be Lucifer's first true love. See, even the devil can be a fan of romance.
You do not belong here. Go home.
You're too weak to stop me. And I'm just getting started.
Imagine being so fast that you turn the tables against the reverse flash with your own maximum speed. In this particular scene, we see Barry achieving maximum speed in his encounter with Thorn, and he's able to outdo him completely. The reason this is so impressive is because Thorn was supposed to be the one who created Barry as the Flash, if I remember things correctly. It's kind of like Bro reached the max limit in a game and then started over at level 1.
I taught you everything you know, everything you are! It's because of me! What did you do?
I got faster.
The power maxing is obviously cool and all, but do you want to know why I liked it even better? It was when Thorn asked how this was possible, and Barry simply replied by saying he got faster. Yeah, that's a boss move right there.
Tonight just gets better and better.
Isn't Isn't it funny how most people like pizza, while Frank Castle likes hammers? This sequence from the pilot episode of The Punisher tells us all we need to know about him loving violence. Sure, it was to help an innocent dude, but bro took more lives than he saved here, right? Either way, beating down 3 men at the same time will never not be entertaining, and we see Frank in his element throughout this scene.
I'm gonna find a home for this.
His victory was never in doubt, but there's one thing I won't forget. Before this fight, these guys had seen Frank diligently and silently hit a brick wall with a sledgehammer for hours on end every single day, and they still chose to mess with him. So yeah, this is totally on them.
This goddamn guy. He's crazy, Lance. What are you gonna do? Hey, what's the story with you, man? Here early, here late. You know, if they don't ask you to work extra, they don't pay you for it, right? Right? Right, but you knew that, right?
Achieving God status underwater isn't a bad way to get yourself into God mode now, is it? In the very first episode of Netflix's Avatar: The Last Airbender, we see Aang becoming the Avatar while submerged in what I like to call a typhoon tsunami hybrid. The energy he unleashes after that is so unreal that anybody can believe he was awakened, even with all those symbols shining bright as ever. And yeah, breaking free of all that ice was also an impressive display for everyone over the world to see. Of course, the pose Aang strikes right after was definitely for aura farming, and he knows it. You should know that Godzilla is so overpowered that even a nuclear bomb couldn't take him down. The US military thought otherwise when they blasted the King of Monsters with a nuke, and they even believed that they succeeded. Of course, all of that was laid to waste later when we saw bro living his best life as if the bomb was like a little insect bite to him. Plus, the funny thing is that the nuke was like a meal to Godzilla, so I'd say he might be looking at the humans favourably for giving him a nice little recharge.
We didn't kill it.
You're almost certainly going to die, so we need to focus. I said, focus!
Can you believe that Sherlock Holmes was so smart that he was able to escape death mentally? Yeah, when Mary shoots him, he has a strong chance of dying. Then he gets into his mind palace where he maxes out his thinking capacity to ensure all his actions from that point onward would keep him conscious, thus keeping him alive as well. Like, wow.
Right now the bullet is the cork in a bottle.
The bullet itself is blocking most of the blood flow.
But any pressure or impact on the entrance wound could dislodge it.
Plus, on your back, gravity's working for us. Fall now.
I never thought I'd ever get to see someone survive a bullet with the power of their mind. So yeah, I've got no doubt that this is the peak human condition as far as mental powers are concerned.
Without the shock, you're going to feel the pain. There's a hole ripped through you, massive internal bleeding. You have to control the pain.
Jon Snow may know nothing, but he also couldn't stay dead. Beating death is the ultimate form of ethereal blessing, and we already saw Sherlock do it, so I'd say Jon's a solid lad for achieving the same feat. There's nothing too extreme about this sequence, as it's basically fictional powers that bring him back to life after the traumatic ending of Season 5.
For the watch.
I even liked how Ghost wakes up a second before Jon does, indicating he knows his master is back. It's actually funny too, considering how dire wolves have also been brought back to life by colossal biosciences. Anyway, this was a moment that most fans thought would take Game of Thrones to a Sopranos level of legacy, but sadly, the quality severely dropped from the next season onwards.
I know what I want.
know what kind of god I need to be.
Ah yes, here we have the god of mischief going against his brand, not to save just a planet or a galaxy, but rather the whole multiverse with his powers. There's no mischief to be had here as he sacrifices everything to be able to become he who remains, thus achieving the status of a true god, something which he'd wanted for the longest time. However, now he'll remain in this position for the rest of eternity, making sure that the multiverse continues as it's supposed to. It is really tragic, but it's also a respectful goodbye to an OG.
Come forth, my child, come into my world.
I don't think it's yours just yet.
You're dead.
I may be dead, but I'm still pretty. Which is more than I can say for you.
Hey look, here we have Buffy slaying the Master with ease, thus living up to the show's name. Sarah Michelle Gellar really knew how to nail her role, or should I say, slay her role in this case. Anyway, the season finale had Buffy going up against the Master, and it was a pretty dominant display from our favourite blonde as she manages to defeat her opponent with great ease. I mean, it honestly didn't even feel as though she was up against a final boss, because apart from a few minor inconveniences, the dude had no impact during the fight. Throwing him onto a piece of spiky furniture seemed oddly appropriate for such a foe, and Buffy finally got to flex her power the way she was meant to.
Will you laugh when my hell is on Earth?
You're that amped about hell? Go there.
You guys wanted my attention? Okay, well now I'm getting mixed signals.
Ah!
Stay here, Jerry. It's time to kick ass. Gonna need a soundtrack. Ship, favorites playlist, track 1.
Coming in at number 11, we have a scene from Rick and Morty that goes from 100 to 0 real quick. Yeah, I said that correctly because it begins with so much adrenaline that you probably need to watch Die Hard to calm yourself down. And then it ends with a friendly conversation about cookies, which would bewilder most viewers, but seems just about right to those who watch this show regularly. It was such an exciting moment mixed with humour and de-escalation, so you could say that it's eerily similar to something from the Guardians of the Galaxy films.
Tell me where you get your cookies at. Walk out of here alive. DEA?
Cookies?
Fortune cookies.
You're not here about our gang's citywide meth ring?
What? No, break the laws. They shouldn't exist anyway.
Rick Sanchez has done tons of things that could be deemed god level, but the reason I chose this is because it's so much in line with how his character has been written. And yeah, I'm not going to forget about the taxi theme playing in the background.
Sorry about these dead guys.
Comes with the territory.
So, where do you get your cookies?
Same distributor as everyone else. That's their truck out back.
Solid. Okay, I'm gonna take the truck in exchange for not turning you in.
Right, so to kick off my top 10, we have an attack that surprised the audience more than the victim. Sure, it's a great girl boss moment for Arya, but everyone wanted to see Jon Snow do it and were left disappointed by the end result. Even so, this doesn't take away from the neutral perspective of Arya pulling off a highly effective sneak attack. Now, as I already mentioned, she didn't really surprise the Night King the way she'd hoped to, but a bit of quick thinking allowed her to launch another sneak attack which did get the job done. Once again, I'll admit that the night was short and full of errors, but it was still a high impact moment that brought about the end of the show's best villain in terms of aura. His death may have actually made him lose all that aura too, but that's not what we're focusing on here. Punisher may have bragging rights for prison, but in the legal world, we prefer a hallway that's full of action. This was the scene that truly got viewers fired up about Daredevil's potential as a Marvel hero. It marked the show's first major fight sequence, and wow, did Matt Murdock deliver or what? As he faces off against multiple foes, he doesn't just win, he has to earn this victory. I've said it before, watching Daredevil get worn down and struggle during the fight makes it feel grounded and authentic. After all, no matter how skilled someone is, real fights are exhausting, and that realism hits harder than Matt's punches here. And yeah, let's never forget one of the wildest highlights of this whole sequence, Daredevil launching a microwave at a guy. That's legendary stuff right there. In at number 8 is the birth of the big bad Vecna, which could happen because of 11 unlocking her true powers to seal Henry away in Dimension X. The final battle between 1 and 11 goes exactly how you'd imagine it. The bad guy is unbeatable and the hero is nowhere close to his level. But then all it takes is one solid memory and suddenly the hero gets god level powers.
I love you.
I don't mind following such tropes as long as it ends with the good guys winning, which is what happens here, albeit in the short run. 11 totally unleashes her wrath to make Henry suffer, and if you think about it, she's the only one who actually created the main villain of the series. Yeah, I can't really wait to see how this story ends in season 5. Homelander is suitable for this video because in this scene, he's actually playing God just because of a short temper. The devastation this man can cause with just one laser blast is truly on apocalyptic levels of bad. Yeah, now I know why Batman likes to carry kryptonite with him at all times. Luckily, this whole scenario is all in Homelander's head, but the thing about him is that he's a big psychopath, so much so that we all even believe that he did this without even a second thought. The fact that he can realistically cause this kind of damage without any real repercussions is even scarier, but then again, that's the whole appeal of his character now, isn't it? I'd also like to mention that Season 4 Homelander may have even gone through with this because that dude has run out of Fs to give. Coming in a very deserving spot, I've decided to give you an epic duel of dragons. Yes, this is the super impressive clash that primarily involves Rhaenys and Meleys versus Aemond and Vhagar, but also has a little bit of Aegon and Sunfire, although they're mainly used as punching bags, or in this case, burning bags. Anyway, the Royal Rumble between Vhagar and Meleys was a spectacle to behold for television. I mean, the last time we saw something as impressive as this was Game of Thrones. Aemond totally got all of us with that surprise attack in the end, but I'll also shout out Rhaenys for dying an honourable death after accepting defeat. Man, I really hope they continue with this quality and don't turn House of Dragon into another Game of Thrones towards the later seasons.
Let's both of us stop trying to justify this whole thing and admit you're in danger.
Who are you talking to right now?
When you open the door to find danger standing in front of you, that's cinematic excellence right there. Well, this is a TV show, but it's also probably the best one of them all. Walter White's iconic lines here cement his transformation from a loser nobody to a man who controls a miniature economy all on his own. Yes, all of us hate Skylar, but let's just ignore her because she does trigger two iconic lines that happen within a few seconds of each other. It's so freaking good that the simple dialogue delivery felt as if a god was speaking down to his subjects.
Do you know what would happen if I suddenly decided to stop going into work? A business big enough that it could be listed on the NASDAQ goes belly up. Disappears. It ceases to exist without me. No, you clearly don't know who you're talking to.
And at that point, you know that Heisenberg is indeed the god of meth. Bro even hopped into the shower calmly, like he didn't just say the most iconic lines of the century on television. Side note, my girlfriend gives me the same look as Skylar gives Walter, but that's when I finish her half of the cheesecake.
I am not in danger, Skylar. I am the danger. A guy opens his door and gets shot, and you think that of me? No. I am the one who knocks.
You see, now finish it.
Damn it, Powder! Wake up! Remember who you are. I know you remember.
Well, it sure is the only way to end a season by starting a war. However, just as the title of the episode suggests, this is all because of the monster this world has created in the form of Jinx losing a sense of empathy. Her actions here truly confirm that peace is no longer an option. And if you think about it, I can actually see parallels between the character and Eren Yeager from Attack on Titan. Although, I'd say that Eren definitely has a much stronger arc and legacy. Anyway, firing at the Piltover Council just as they approved Zorn's independence was a diabolical move, but this is exactly what happens to souls tainted by war. It really is funny, isn't it? Powder protected her sister by killing Jinx's father, and Jinx in response managed to avenge her father by killing whatever remained of Powder.
We'll show them. We will show them all. I want you to lose like
Mark!
Oh man, I wish I could celebrate this with joy, but it's actually a super dark moment from the Season 3 finale of Invincible. Mark and Conquest have already had an extremely lengthy fight, although Mark was the only one who looked like it had taken a toll on him. Even with Eve's intervention, it basically led to her being a literal nanometer away from certain death, but at least she was able to go God mode and unleash her true power on a completely unsuspecting Conquest. Normally, that should have been enough, but a Viltrumite is built different, so we had to rely on Mark smashing his face in like a freaking woodpecker till it became uncomfortable for us to watch.
Is this what you wanted? You enjoyed yourself? Still having fun?
This moment totally takes the show to a different direction, and Mark too, who's now felt what it's like to hit God mode. On a lighter note, I seriously think that there's a love triangle between Invincible, Atom Eve, and the hospital bed. Season 2 of The Mandalorian ended with a familiar face coming to the rescue, and for a brief moment in time, fans of Star Wars actually believed that their tarnished franchise could actually be saved. That's exactly how much of an impact legacy characters can have, and in this case, it was Luke Skywalker who saved Mando and Grogu in an excellently choreographed sequence. Just look at how Mando struggles to keep up with one Dark Trooper, only for Luke to destroy a whole fleet of them effortlessly. It really shows you how strong he was and why the sequel series should never exist in any form of Star Wars canon. Yeah, there's no denying the fact that this scene is heavily lifting off the Darth Vader hallway sequence from Rogue One, but at this point, who freaking cares? We were dying for a moment like this the whole time, and even The Mandalorian, which is the only decent show from the new Star Wars, had started to deteriorate by now. Luckily, Luke comes to not just help the characters in the scene, but also a brand that just kept digging one hole after the other from 2015 onwards. Hope you liked the video. Please subscribe to the TV Regent, and here's another video that I know you're going to enjoy.